Hello, welcome back to Learning with Leah. I'm so glad that you could join me again today. Today we are going to talk all about punctuation. What punctuation do we use where? What are the names of the punctuation? When do we use them? All of that hopefully will be answered for you today. So I'm not going to do every kind of punctuation because there are a lot, but I'm going to focus on the most common pieces of punctuation that we use in English. So let's get started. All right, so let's start here because these are the most common and the easiest, I would say. We have a period, we have an exclamation mark, and we have a question mark. So these three are all ways that we can end a sentence. So a period, we end, or every sentence that we finish has to have some kind of ending. So it shows the reader and it shows the person that's listening that it is the end of the sentence. So we use a period most of the time. An exclamation mark is used when something has a lot of emotion. So it could be from excitement, it could be from fear or anger. You can use an exclamation mark with. So if I say, "Yay, great job, I'm so proud of you," I'm going to use an exclamation part. Yes. Right? Or maybe you might say, "Stop, stop." You know, if your child is running in the street, you might say, "No, don't do that." Right? That also uses an exclamation point. So anytime that we have lots of emotion, then we're going to use an exclamation mark when we write. All right, and a third one, of course, is a question mark. So, of course, this is when we use this. Anytime we ask a question, we have to have a question mark, all right? That is just a quick way for people to see and realize, oh, this is a question, okay? All right, another way that we might use a period is for abbreviations. So abbreviations are when we have a word that we shorten and we need to put a dot there. A period there. So for example, JR stands for junior. So sometimes we shorten the word junior into JR with a period. So that is another way that we use the periods. Okay, so that's period, exclamation mark, and question mark. The third one is an apostrophe. Apostrophe. Okay, so we have an apostrophe. This is what an apostrophe is. And there are two ways that we use an apostrophe. Number one is for ownership. So if we are talking about somebody's possession or something that somebody owns, then we're going to use an apostrophe. For example, Leah's YouTube channel. So when I say Leah's YouTube channel, the YouTube channel belongs to Leah. So because of that, we have to have an apostrophe. That shows that that is mine, okay? If I say my favorite place to go is Bill's Donut Shop. He has amazing donuts, okay? Bill's Donut Shop. Then Bill, after Bill, I would have to say apostrophe S. Bill's Donut Shop, because it is his. It is his restaurant or his shop. Okay. The other way we can use apostrophes is for contractions. So any contraction that we use will have an apostrophe in it. That is what we use to connect the two words together. Okay, apostrophes. All right, the most, I think, difficult, even though it's so common, the most difficult punctuation is the comma. And I think the reason is because there's so many different ways to use a comma. And so remembering the rules correctly is hard, even for Americans or English speakers, or English writers, I guess. So even here in America, native English speakers, Americans, can't write and use commas. So don't be hard on yourself because it is hard to remember all of the rules. So let me explain a little bit about the comma. So there are many different ways that we use commas. I'm not going to go into all of them, but the most important are when we are listing things. So for example, I am buying plates, napkins, and spoons. It's very important that we use commas between the items that we are listing. That way we know that they are separate and they are not together. If I said, I am buying plates, napkins, and spoons, and I did not have a comma, someone might think that plates, napkins is one item. So we have to separate with commas. Another way that we use commas is when we have two separate clauses. We have coordinating clauses or we have complex clauses. So that is when we have two separate clauses, but we have to have a comma between them. So here we have two independent clauses. So this could be a separate sentence, but we combine them with but. Because of that, because we combine them with the word but, this is a conjunction, so but or and or so. Because this is a sentence and this is a complete sentence, right? They could stand alone by themselves if they wanted to. Because of that, we have to have a comma here, okay? That is required. Again, in other examples, it could be with complex sentences too. Or if you have an introduction, sometimes we introduce ourselves and use commas. I could do a separate video just on commas because that could take a long time. So today I'm just going to briefly go over that. Okay. Let me know if you do have any questions though. All right, moving on, we're going to talk about the semicolon. Okay, this is the semicolon. The semicolon we use when we want to separate two independent clauses. So that means they have to be two complete sentences. Two complete sentences that really you could put a period right there. You could put a period in between. But if they are related to one another and maybe they work together, what you are trying to say, they relate to each other, then we can use a semicolon. That way the sentence flows, your writing flows, and it's not just one sentence period, another sentence period, right? But it's very important that these have to be two complete independent sentences. Both clauses have to have your subject and your verb. Okay, they have to be independent. For example, the classes have begun. They are Monday through Friday. Okay, that is two separate clauses. So I could put a period there if I wanted, but the information is similar, right? They're relating to each other. So that's why we use a semicolon. All right, next one we have is the colon. So for the colon, we use this in a few different ways. I think the colon is also a difficult piece of punctuation. So let's read the example first. I have several departments to talk to before I start my new job. Payroll, HR, and security. Okay, so we can use a colon in a couple different ways. Number one, we can use it when we are going to list different items, okay? So here I listed 3 different departments that I would have to see before I start my new job. I would have to see 3 different departments. So I listed 3 things here. So you can use a colon after the sentence, okay? It has to be a sentence, and then we use a colon, then list our whatever we want to list. Now it's important. If you can make a sentence like this, where you're listing and it flows normal, then you don't need a colon. For example, I am buying plates, napkins, and spoons. I don't need a colon here because it's not necessary. It sounds okay to just have a sentence like this. I don't have to have a colon here. Okay, but here, if I don't have a colon, it is confusing, right? Before I start my new job, payroll, HR, and security, it doesn't make sense. I need a colon to separate my sentence from my list, okay? All right. The other way that I can use a colon is if we have two clauses, kind of like this, we have two different clauses, and if the second clause is influencing the first clause. So that's another way that we can use the colon. I won't explain too much about that, but if you have any questions, I can talk more about it. All right, the next one is parentheses. Parentheses. All right, so parentheses are these. So parentheses, basically, you use these to add more information. So if you want to add more information into your sentence, you can always add it in the parentheses. So maybe it is, for example, information like a time zone. For example, can we talk at 1 p.m. EST? This is a time zone, okay? So you could put one word in there. You could maybe put a phrase in there if you want to give more information. Maybe you might write a sentence in parentheses, maybe a name, for example. So there's many different ways to use parentheses, but basically it's to add more information to your sentence that maybe isn't as important, but you want the reader to know. Okay. All right, next we have is question marks. Not question marks. Quotation marks. I didn't read that right. Quotation marks. Again, quotation marks. So quotation marks, many times, I don't know if you do this. Tell me, you can comment below if you do this in your country. We go like this to mean this. So quotation marks are when somebody says something. We use to recite or to quote what somebody says. Okay, so if we are writing and we are reciting exactly what someone is saying, then we will use quotation marks. So for example, well, she said, "Are you serious?" Okay, now if you say, if you paraphrase and you don't say the exact words, then you don't need quotation marks. You might just say, "Oh, well, she asked, or she said that she thought it was serious." Okay, the way I said that, "Oh, she thought that it was serious," that's not the exact words. So we don't need quotation marks. Only if it's the exact words that you want to quote. Okay, and like I said, and we normally go like this to mean that what somebody said. We mean quotation marks. Okay, all right, so these are the most common in our actual writing. These are more for dates or for smaller words. Okay, so first we're going to look at the dash. Okay, there's different kinds of dashes. I'm not going to go into details, but this, I'm just going to call it a dash. Okay, dash. So this dash can be used for the word to or through. Okay, so we can use it where we actually read this as the word to, or we read it as the word through. For example, if I'm talking about time, we have a meeting from 6 to 8. We actually say the word to, 6 to 8 p.m. Okay, this kind of, instead of having to write the word, we use this to symbolize the word to. We can also use it to mean the word through. I need you to read chapters 10 through 12 for tomorrow. Okay, the word through is what we use when we are talking about chapters or days. For example, they are Monday through Friday. Okay. In time, we say to, and in chapters or days, we say through. We can also use a dash to indicate the date. So in America, I know it's different on other parts of the world. We always write our month first, then the day, then the year. So this would be, today is August 20th, 2020. We can use the dash to separate the dates. We can also use a slash to separate the dates as well. Okay, so we can use either a dash or a slash. There's no difference. I personally use a slash. Some people use a dash. It doesn't matter. It's the same. Okay, so the slash is you can use for the dates. We can also use it for the word per. Per. Okay, so for example, this is an example here. Maybe she makes $800 per month. That means each month she makes $800. Okay. You might say, I make $12 per hour or an hour, but per. Okay, the slash means per. For each hour, I make $12, for example. Okay, that is the slash. And the last one we have is the hyphen. So this is a little confusing because this is a dash and this is a hyphen. How can you tell the difference? Well, there is a difference. They look the same, but how you use them is differently. So dash we use for to or through or for the date. A hyphen is used between words. So a hyphen is used to connect words. In English, there are many words, two-word phrases or 3 words that connect together in just how the words are. So we can use a hyphen to connect those words. Okay, so for example, well-known, x-ray, self-esteem. These 3 words are words that have two words together, okay, and they are connected with a hyphen. Okay, the PH says an F, hyphen. Okay, all right, so that's a little bit about punctuation. All right, let's review. Period, exclamation point, or exclamation mark. Some people say point, some people say mark. Question mark, apostrophe, comma, semicolon, colon, parentheses, quotation marks, dash, slash, hyphen. All right, now I have lots of practice for you in just a minute. All right, I have 10 questions for you, and I want you to practice your punctuation skills by taking the correct punctuation and putting them in the correct sentence. We will read them together, and then I would like you to comment below if you want some practice with what you think is the correct answer, and I will comment back if you have the correct answer and if there are any mistakes. All right, so your options are an exclamation mark, a period, a comma, an apostrophe, quotation marks, parentheses, semicolon, a colon, a question mark, and a dash. Not a hyphen, but a dash. So remember, a dash is for to or through, not the connecting the words. That's hyphen. Okay, so let's read the examples, and then I'll let you get to your practice. He asked, "Where are my keys?" My name is Leah. Sam went to the store to buy grapes, bananas, and kiwi. Their favorite place to eat is Jill's Steakhouse. Stop, you are going to fall. I work from 8 to 2 every day. All students are required to take gym class. Only freshmen have to take health. Where do you live? Jared is now the Chief Executive Officer, CEO of the company. She is required to take 4 classes: math, science, physics, and history. Okay, if you want to pause the video or take a screenshot, you can do that. All right. And make sure you comment below. I love to hear your answers. I said this before, but it's my favorite part. I love to hear from you. So thank you guys so much for joining my journey. And this, as you know, I'm pretty new to this. So thank you for all of your encouragement and your suggestions. All right, thank you guys. Hopefully we'll see you soon. Of course, give me any suggestions you have. See you next time.